This is Jason with ABS Supply. We're here today for some real world answers to some real world problems. You ever had a blast pot that just didn't work, stopped flowing? I'm confused. What valve does what? What goes where? Well, we're here today and we're going to answer those questions. On my right, I have got a 3.5 cubic foot Schmidt pressure hold pot. And on my left, I have got a 3.5 Schmidt pressure release pot. We're going to go through the valves on these, demystify it, why they work, and answer the questions that everyone wants to know. Why is my pot not working when I'm in the field, and how can I fix it today? So stick with me. We're going to answer these and more. Okay, now both of these pots are pneumatic control. The one on my right is a pressure release. The one on my left is a pressure hold. What does pneumatic mean? Well, we have twin lines, air, that controls the start and stop of the blast on the Deadman, versus electric, which would be a 12-volt signal. There's extra moving parts in the electric. We're not going to talk about that today. That's in a future video. So you can go find that one if you want to watch. We'll go through that same scenario with electric. But today, we're going to deal with pneumatic. I'm going to start with this one, the micro combo, or the pressure release. What makes it a pressure release, you ask? Well, every time I let go of this Deadman trigger right here, this one, this entire pot blows down. That is the primary difference between pressure release and pressure hold. In the pressure hold pot, when I let go of the Deadman trigger, the pot stays pressurized. How does that work? It's all in the valving. It's all in the valves. Basically what happens, the valves shut the air off at the bottom of the pot, and so the pressure all upstream stays in the vessel. This one on the pressure release, the valve shuts the air off in front of the pot so that the whole pot blows down and depressurizes when you let go of the Deadman. That's the fundamental difference. But the valves are completely different. So we need to talk about them differently in troubleshooting aspects because the answers are different. I'm going to go through three main steps. We can cover 90% of your problems and then a few oddballs I've seen over the years. So let's start with number one. I always tell everyone that owns a blast pot when they're having problems, check for leaks. Leaks are not your friend. They cause you to wear out valves. They cause loss of pressure. Once your pressure gets too low in your system, no valves will operate. And that's every pot, every brand. If we're running too low a pressure, we don't have enough volume to run valves. So where can this pot leak? Let's talk about it. There's three main areas. Number one, the most common and the wear item, the pinch hose. That ram that pinches this off, this hose is going to leak. You need a partner or you need to be holding the Deadman on the trigger while you're checking it because there will be no air leaks out of here until you're blasting. So hold the trigger down yourself or have someone else do it and check for leaks here. Most likely suspect. Number two, pop up an O-ring in the very top where you fill it. If that's not sealing, got a good seal on it, you're going to lose air. Easy way to check, throw a handful of grit on it, look for bubbles. Third place, on this side, we have the manway, the hand access. There's an O-ring there in that door gasket. If that's leaking, you can lose a major allowance of air out of it. So check that. You could also have leaks somewhere in the pipe string. There again, you'll need to have someone blast to check those. Not as likely, but it does happen. Step two, air blow by on the nozzle. Another leak, but a separate issue. It's the seal right here, the plunger, the piston that shuts off your air inlet from the compressor. Those deteriorate over time. So when those wear, you will get a telltale sign that when you're not blasting, there will be air streaming out your nozzle. You can see it, feel it, hear it. Stop, fix that right away. Otherwise, you're going to wreck other things. Step number three, let's look at the Deadman. We haven't done that one yet. The way this pot works, my air comes in from my compressor in the bottom, stops here, but it does go out this orange line all the way to my Deadman. Simple fix. This is just a switch. All we have to do is take off the single line right here. Now, when I push this trigger, boom, air should come screaming out at full pressure, not dribbling. It has to be high pressure to close and actuate that valve. When I let go of the Deadman, it should stop. It's that simple. If it starts and stops, the air flow, full flow on my trigger, on my command, your switch is working right. That is not the Deadman. Now, I said I'd talk about some other whacked ones. I have seen collapsed air hoses on the inside. I've seen cut air hoses, twin line, that people didn't catch because it was covered up in duct tape. Those can all leak air and you don't get enough signal back to this valve. So as a secondary check, you can always check the signal air where it comes into the combo valve here to make sure you're getting a good solid signal when you start and stop this Deadman trigger. We've also had issues with Mice, marbles, cigarette butts, things in the pot that clog it. Those obviously can stop grit flow. The grit in these pots only flows by gravity. It is not blasted out of the pot. So if there's something in there, be it water, be it a chunk, be it a piece of a bag that from the media that you put in there, that is going to stop your airflow because that grit valve is not even open enough for me to put my pinky finger in it. So it's a really small opening, fine controlled meters, which is good, but it doesn't take much to clog it up. So there's kind of your troubleshooting tips with the Schmidt combo micro valve. Only so many things that can go wrong. That's the good news. So now we're here with the Schmidt 3.5 pressure hold pneumatic pot. This pot is also very simple. There are only two valves that operate on this pot, your air valve and your grit valve at the bottom. They are both controlled simultaneously by one air signal from your pneumatic twin line. So it's pretty easy to go through troubleshooting on this one as well because we don't have too many places to look. Just like in the last video, step number one, check for air leaks. If we lose air in our system somewhere, we may not have enough air pressure to open up any of our valves. Where will it leak? Well, your ball valve. That's a wear item on your exhaust. It's going to wear out eventually. Check for leaks there. Pop up an O-ring. Same thing. Pressurize the pot. Throw a handful of grit on there. Make sure no air is bubbling up and leaking. And in the front of it, you have the manway access door where there is a gasket in that door. Make sure no air is leaking out of there when the pot is pressurized. So once we get through those things, now let's talk about what it's doing. This one, there's a couple questions we can ask ourselves. Are we getting air, or are we getting grit, or are we getting neither? Because there's independent controls for air and grit. So that points us where to look. If you say, I'm getting all grit, but I'm getting no air, the grit is puking out of the pot, there's a simple culprit. It is this valve right here, the auto air valve. There's a diaphragm and a spring in here. If that diaphragm wears, when it wears, it will not open the valve. If it doesn't open the valve, all the air from the compressor has to go through the pot, out the grit valve, carrying way too much grit with it, puking, slugging, chugging on the pot. So this is our culprit. Look at that, identify the problem, and let's fix it. And make sure that your choke valve like that isn't closed, because if it is, it will chug just like this. And that's a neat little trick to also isolate. If I'm not getting any air or air is leaking, say, out of the problem, so this is step two. If I have air leaking out of my nozzle, where is it leaking? Well, it can leak from one of two valves, but how do I tell? If I pull this choke valve and cut off all the air to here, and I'm still getting a leak, it's in my grit valve where I'm leaking air or peeing out the nozzle when I'm not blasting. If I do this, the air comes back while we've just isolated it's that valve. So that's a good step to tell when air is leaking or seeping out of the nozzle when you're not blasting. There you go. That's how we check and isolate one or the other. Third thing, I'm not getting grit. What's going on? What could it be? Is it the grit valve? Maybe, maybe not. It's a really simple way to tell on your grit valve. And we can do this on any pressure hold, whether it's a Thompson 2 or a Terra. This happens to be a Terra valve. All we've got to do is take this knob all the way off. So notice we can take this all the way out. Nothing flies out, no springs, nothing pops. It's just fine. What we're going to test for is that valve opening? Is it the valve? Is it a clog? Is it something else? We don't know. But we can check really quickly by removing this knob. We drop a pencil, a screwdriver, whatever, a stick, whatever you got on the job site into that hole. When I have someone hit the Deadman trigger to blast, that screwdriver should pop up about 1 inch and stay up. If it does, your valve is opening. If it doesn't, we've got to take the valve apart and look at that. But if it stays up while we're on the trigger for 1 inch, the valve is opening. That's not the problem. It's most likely a clog or an obstruction in your pot. When you let go of the trigger, boom, that valve should close all the way, go back down about 1 inch to shut off the airflow. So just like on the other pot, the pressure release, the Deadman works and functions exactly the same. We have our signal line coming out to the Deadman under rest when you're not blasting, and it stops right here. So all we have to do is check off the black line, which is your return signal air, push the switch, air should come screaming out. Notice it should be full flow, high volume, so it's enough to operate both valves. If it's not, we've got a flow issue. When you let off the Deadman, the air should stop. If it starts and stops at your command, With the functioning of this switch, your Deadman trigger is working correctly. Okay, so I'm going to try and recap real quickly here. Pressure release pneumatic, troubleshooting problems. As with every pot, we started first with leaks. Leak in the hose for the combo valve, leak in the pop-up, leak in the manway, leak somewhere in the pipe string. All these have to be checked when the pot is attempting to blast or pressure and air is being let into it. Leaks in the hose, out the nozzle while you're not blasting. That is a seal right there. And then, of course, we've got the Deadman switch. Is this working? Do we get air coming out the signal when we push it? And does it stop when we let go? That's key to let you know this switch is or isn't working. And of course, we can check air signals on the twin line to make sure that they didn't collapse, rot, have too many holes in them, something like that. You do those, that's pretty much most everything you're going to need to know on this pot. Now we'll recap the pressure hold pot. As with the same with the pressure release, we started with leaks in the pot. Where's it going to leak? It's going to leak in the ball valve. It's going to leak in the pop-up and O-ring. It's going to leak in the manway gasket. All you have to do is put air to the pot. You can check immediately for leaks. If we're clear on there, we can go on to the next thing. Do we have air blow by leaking out the nozzle? If we do, it's either going to be this valve or the grit valve. We can isolate one valve or the other with the ball valve to identify which valve is leaking so we can correctly fix it. If we're not getting grit, is it my grit valve? Well, I don't know. We pulled the knob off, we hit the Deadman trigger, boom. If your pencil or your pen in there bumps up and down 1 inch when you're holding the trigger and goes back down another when you let go, the valve is operating correctly. We have a clog, an obstruction, some reason that the grit is not coming out, but the valve is operating correctly. And of course, the last one, the Deadman. Same as the other one, it functions the same. We can check the air to make sure if we take this line off, the 1/8 inch line, we can hold it to make sure that it's shooting a good solid full stream of air while we're on the trigger, and when we let go, the air should stop. Then we know this is working correctly. If you go from there, in the wintertime, you can check, signals off of the twin line. Do I have a leak in it? Do I have a chunk of ice? Is it frozen? Something of that nature. Those are your main troubleshooting items. Do those, you'll be fine. And as always, if you forget or you're confused or stumped, give us a call at ABS Supply. We're glad to walk through it. We do it every day. Seriously. If anything is broken on any Schmidt pot or any blast pot you've got, we stock thousands of repair parts here at ABS Supply. Give us a call. We'll gladly walk you through any troubleshooting scenario, and we'll ship those same parts out today. Thanks for watching. Have a blast.